Welcome to episode 6 of Audio Discourse Podcast. I don't know. I'll let Anthony explain it. What are we doing today? He's not. See, like this is
why do you have a lot of noise coming from your side? Like you have teapots clanking?
Because he's trying to eat. Man's trying to have breakfast, man.
Yeah, I'm eating. Sorry.
Oh, and corn is eating.
I'm literally eating corn right now.
Are you eating corn right now?
Yes, I am.
Is that like cannibalism?
It's safe. It's safe.
It's safe. You're eating corn, and you're corn.
Shall we wait for you to finish eating?
No, I hope he's recording right now.
I am recording. This is great.
I'll just stop eating.
Yeah. I mean, no, you don't have to. Just finish your corn, man. Just finish your corn.
But there's quite a lot left. It's like one
No,
whole.
it doesn't. Whatever. Stop. Pause eating your corn. Anthony, what are you talking about today?
All right, today we're talking about our recommended picks for the different price ranges. So
there you go. We have a recommended list.
Yeah, this is gonna be more of like a price to performance ratio and what we think the best at each category is.
Thank you so much. I'm glad one of us isn't eating. Why don't I? Do I even want to introduce my co-host at this point? Like, it's just like no.
I think I deserve an introduction.
You deserve an introduction?
Yeah.
Fine. First off, we have the least popular Avenger. That he quit his job as Ant-Man. He's doing a podcast with me now. How are you doing, Scott Lane?
Great.
And second, you have the guy that's eating himself. I call it cannibalism, but he just calls it something else. I am the butter to his corn. How are you doing, corn?
Hello.
And the third is, I think he's probably just a smarter and more like eloquent version of me, and he likes to explain things to me when I'm being stupid. How are you doing today, Ken?
Yeah, great.
There you go. How'd you like your intro? Should we just start? Okay, but a more serious part, I think we're dividing this up into two parts. And the first part will be under 100 and also 100 to 500. That'll be the first part. And on the second part of this podcast, yes, another two-parter. We're doing 500 to 1,000 and over 1,000. So we're going to start with part one, under 100. And again, I haven't really heard too many of these cheap IEMs. So why don't we start with Blonde 03, which is actually the cheapest IEM on the list with $35. Anthony, you have a review on that, don't you?
Yeah, I reviewed it a couple months ago.
And
so it's probably the most hyped up IEM on the market right now, at least for the under $100 range. And I personally don't like it too much, but I understand why it's so popular. For $30 to $40, it sounds good. I mean, for the price range, it sounds very pleasing. It's got a good amount of bass, which I think a lot of people like, and it's not overly harsh. So it's got a sound I think a lot of people like, and it's got a nice build quality. There's some issues around I guess QC and repeatability of the sound signature. I think Critical measured several of them, and each one measured slightly differently. But I think overall it's a really good price to performance package that it's hard to come by for that price range.
Right, but I think I have not heard of it, but all the interaction I have with it being brought up in in the community, there always leaves me like a very sour taste in my mouth. And tell me, Ken, is it the giant killer that's killing 12T and Z1R?
No way, not at all. It's not a giant killer.
No. So you're saying, are you telling me that I can't get the performance of a Z1R out of a $35 IEM? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, no way in hell.
Wow, you're crushing my dream, man. So why isn't it? People, and you told me that before that the graph looks really nice, right? So what's the shortcoming of this IEM? What's the problem here?
Right, the tone is good, the tuning is good. Well, if you get a good copy, at least.
Right, the tuning that you got.
Even with the worst copy, the tuning is generally fine. Like the tone is fine. Like what Ann said, you get a good amount of bass. But the greatest shortcoming is the lack of technicalities. There's next to no technicalities in it. So resolution, staging, imaging, it's next to nothing. But in a grand scheme of things, looking at this price tier, you shouldn't be expecting much technicalities in the first place. So it is in a recommended list because, yeah, it does what it's intended for.
Corn, you are a tone man. Obviously you don't like technicalities because you hate the VX. What do you think?
I find it a little upper bass bloated, just a little, which I find that it might be the problem with its technical ability, where because it does sound a little bit bloated, so it might leave the impression of that the imaging isn't as precise as it should be. Yeah, but if not, I do hold the same thoughts as Pencil regarding the Ocean.
Yeah, so I think like it's worth maybe from what you guys are saying $35, but I think that's all there is to it, and it's there's not too many IEMs on this list on the below 100 list, and Blown is the cheapest. Blonde I call it Blown. Building the Legend of Nobles 03 is worth $35. But speaking of mid-bass bloat, we have the next entry, the second least expensive, the Sony MH755, and the IEM that Critical popularized, if you want to call it. Actually, one of the few IEMs I have in that price category. And Ken is the original show for that IEM. Why don't you go first on that one?
Well, yeah, I've been using it for many years, and when I got into the hobby, I met Crane and like, hey, this is one of my old earphones, and check it out. This just to give him understanding what I have been listening, and he said, oh wow, this is actually not bad, and then it went on to the list, and the rest is history. So yeah, I got it part of a Bluetooth headset. It is pleasing. Tune it has lots of bass. I like lots of bass. So for this price, it's as good as it gets, and it's sub bass centric, sub bass focus IEM. So it has lesser mid bass as compared to the free earphones that Sony gave, which is the MH750, and that's it. It just goes up to 8K. 8 kilohertz, and it drops off. This whatever it is for this price, it is good, and there's nothing else really that gives this signature in this price range. So it is here.
Yeah, and it is a very popular recommendation amongst the budget fi audio community. Like Reddit or whatever. People say like, oh, it's a $6 IEM, but if you want a real pair, you do have to like buy the $40 receiver just to just to make sure that you get something that's more matching, like channel matching. That's like a better channel matching, isn't that right?
Yeah. So this product is actually not sold on its own for most part of its product life. So there was a short period where they actually had the retail box of the MH755, but that was just like, I think, not even half a year, and it's not even in every country. But it is originally to be part of a Bluetooth headset. I mean, not just one. There are a few models of Bluetooth headsets that will come with this earphones, and whatever that people can find on the market, there are loose pairs of $6 or $10 or whatever. They are spare parts. They are from the service center. They're from the parts there, because it's not meant to be sold on its own. Because if it is, it's in the retail box, which is very rare. And of course, the channel matching for mine was good. Well, it's broken now, but when I was still working, yeah, when Craig measured, the channel matching was good, and yeah, it's definitely genuine because it comes in a retail box with the Bluetooth headset. So if you want something that is guaranteed, just buy the original Bluetooth headset from the Sony store, and you'll be fine.
Corn, anything to add? I think you like treble too much, and this has that weird treble roll off.
Actually, I tried it like a month back or so, before this whole Corona thing happened. When I first tried it, like many months ago, I'm talking like probably like a year ago. I wore it on ear and I didn't go really deep, and I thought it sounded very shouty and like crap. Yeah. Fast forward, about 1 or 2 months ago, I tried it again, and I put it over ear, and so I pushed for a very deep feed. It sounded so much better. So my opinion of 755 has been more positive lately, and I just find it a tad bassy. Other than that, the shoutiness doesn't really occur to me after I deep fitted it. So yeah, that's something I wanted to talk about, about the 755 sounding better when it's deep fitted.
Have you heard the 755, Anthony? I don't think you have.
Yes, I have. I have one.
Oh, do you really? I didn't know that.
Yep. I haven't really written a review or anything on it, but I've had it for a couple years now. I actually did own one many years ago when I used to buy the Sony Bluetooth adapters back, I don't know, almost over 10 years ago now. And they came with, earlier versions of that headphone or earphone back then. My personal opinion is it's not really my thing, just like the Blonde isn't. But for I think about $7, what I paid for on eBay a couple years ago, it's pretty good price. You really can't find anything for that that sounds like that at that price range. My biggest issues with it is I don't like super heavy bass, and this one, this IEM has really heavy bass, which I don't like. And also the way that you wear it seals off really well. So there's a lot of kind of a vacuum sucking experience that my ears just do not like. I can only wear these for a few minutes without feeling, I guess, claustrophobic or feeling like my ears getting sucked in. So those are my biggest problems with the IEM. But there's nothing really wrong with it besides those two things for me. I feel like I feel like the Blonde BLO3 is like an improved version of MH755, but no, some people will disagree with me, but I feel like it's an improvement over it.
And so you want to say something about that compared to the Blonde?
Well, I mean, the Blonde has lesser bass, and there's no technicalities. I like bass. I'll take a 755.
Are you saying that 755 have better technicality as well, or like?
To me, yes. That's the copy I heard, because Blonde is a lottery, right? So
right.
Like some folks got the better technicalities one with a slightly different tuning, but it's still good enough, and stuff like that. So the one I heard, technicalities was pretty subpar. But for 755, well, whichever 755 I heard, as long as original, they pretty much sound the same. So yeah.
I think you're right. I have a modded pair of 755 that shout out to Phil that I stole from him, so I got it for free, and I do like it a lot. But like the problem with, like, again, as Anthony would mention, that there's a lot of like that. You need a deep fit for it to sound good, as Corn said. But like when you get that deep fit, like there is this vacuum problem, and it also causes some driver flex. So you do have to like adjust it around your ear to get a deep fit, and also not causing like driver flex to like to cut off or have to cause some kind of channel imbalance. So it is something that you have to like fiddle around to. Again, like for $40 or $7 or however much you get it for, if you like a bassy IEM, I think this is I don't know, that this is definitely something that you should check out, and you're not losing too much money even if you don't like it. But right. Enough on the bassy IEM. Why don't we move on to something that's a little bit more neutral, which is a very like a rare entry into this budget range, because most budget range IEMs are a little bit heavier on the bass side. We have the Tin Audio T2, Carib's favorite IEM. Anthony, you love this IEM too, right? Why don't you start on this Chi-Fi? Just the first ever budget Chi-Fi, I guess.
Yeah, this was a IEM that really surprised me when I first listened to it. There was a lot of, I guess, hype surrounding it when it first came out. I guess I was participating a lot on Reddit back then, and yeah, it was for whatever reason one of the most hyped IEMs on Reddit, and so I ended up just buying it to check it out, and it really surprised me. And the reason was most IEMs that you buy, at your local store, in the U.S. it's like Best Buy or Target or whatever. They have a very V-shaped signature, and so there's a lot of bass and a lot of treble, and sometimes there's a lot of mid bass, which kind of bloats up and muddies everything. And even if you look into most of the chi-fi market online, you get that same type of sound signature for most anything under $100, even today. The difference with the Tin T2 is it has more of a neutral kind of diffuse field sound signature. So it's a flatter bass response, and it's got a kind of a large Pina gain. So it does sound a little bright, but it was a refreshing sound because it didn't have the muddiness and heavy bass response that a lot of other headphones and IEMs do in that price range. So that's what really drew me in, and I ended up really liking it because it was different, and it actually is closer to what I like personally anyway.
And Corn, is that too much Pina for you? I know you love about Pina gain.
I didn't trade for a very long time, perhaps 5 to 10 minutes. It was a bit bright for me, but it was fine.
It was fine.
I have not much comments because I didn't have enough time with it. Yeah.
I mean, nor should you give too much time for a $50 Chi-Fi. Ken, you have anything to add?
Right. For me, it's not my sound signature, so it's definitely not in my hit list. But I do have to acknowledge that. Well, most like what Ann said, like most G5 is like just V, very bassy, very bloaty. So yeah, I have to acknowledge that it does have some technicalities without bass bloat and stuff. So maybe a simplified way to put it could be it's a poor man's EX1000 for those folks that like some technicalities, then and they don't like so much bass, or rather they like even lesser bass than EX1000. And well, this is at a fraction of the cost. It's a good starter kit for those who are starting out.
Right, and I think if you like something like neutral and you want something cheap, I think this is probably the only, with maybe some of their later generation, but this is the cheapest from Tin Audio that has a neutral-ish sound signature. Do you have anything else to say about the T2, Anthony? It seems like not much lovers of the T2 here between the three of us.
I mean, I guess we go to negatives. My biggest negatives with the T2 is getting the fit to work. So it has a kind of a bullet-shaped look to it, and those type of IEMs don't really fit my ear well. And I know a lot of people complained about it being loose and not sealing very well. And if you don't get it to seal very well, it's going to sound very bright and very piercing. And then the other issue I think the T2 had when it first came out was it uses MMCX connectors, and the cable failed pretty often on it. And I think they've made some changes to fix it over time, but I don't know if they've fully updated the actual original T2 or not.
Okay, I guess it's and for like a $50 Chi-Fi, I don't think people expect like perfect QC, and the fit problem is could be like it varies from person to person. But why don't we move on to the next one, the Shorty Form 1.1? I actually heard that IEM when I was in China, and it's so forgettable. I actually don't remember what it sounds like. You actually also have a review on the Chi-Fi reviewers in this group. Anthony have a review of this IEM as well. Why don't you start again? Like this is.
All right. The Shothi Forum 1.1 is relatively new. I think it came out in December of last year, so about 6 months ago. It's I guess the unique feature in it is that it's probably the cheapest beryllium coded driver that you can get on the market, as far as I know.
That's right.
Yeah, so the 1.1 means it's 1DD, which is the beryllium coded driver. So it's not pure beryllium like a Focal Utopia or anything. And then the other one is it's a BA, so it's a hybrid. Yeah, it's a hybrid. They also have a new version called the 1.4, which is 4 BA and one dynamic. So with this one, I actually enjoyed it, but only with EQ. It has kind of a V-shaped signature, and so it's got a really fast, punchy bass, which is kind of representative of a beryllium coated driver. But the big issue with it for me was that the treble region around 7 to 9K is pretty well extended, so it sounds very bright and very piercing. So I couldn't listen to it for most genres that I like, and I end up having to drop that area down by, I think I want to say 6 dB, and that ended up toning it down to something that was a lot more enjoyable. And so I ended up liking it with the modifications that had to be done. In its pure stock form, I found it a little too bright.
Yeah, and Ken, actually, I think this is your entry to the list, right? So you wanna maybe some follow up to what you thought about this IEM, the 1.1?
Yeah, so it has the issue that the N talked about. The treble range there is a bit sibilant. It's a little sharp and piercing at times. It depends on your songs. So basically, the treble driver, the treble is not refined, so it's a little harsh. But for those treble lovers, they will like it. For this price, for a hybrid at this price, hybrid under $100, there's pretty much no competition. And well, unlike the T2, which, well, you'll get a T2 if you don't like sub bass. This actually has some bass going on. So yeah, it's a baseline. Like, if any new hybrid is to come out and can't even beat this, they shouldn't be in the market.
So you're saying this is the shittiest hybrid on the market?
That is listenable.
That should exist.
Yeah, that should exist. Yes.
Corn, anything about that? I didn't know it was a hybrid.
Yeah.
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 I don't think I've written anything about it, but I did try it, and when I first tried it, in the first 30 seconds, the expression that went through my head was that this is passable, this is good, okay, and after a while, I did find it sounding a little bit dynamically compressed with the bass, which I'm not sure is whether the driver's fault or the tuning overall. Other than that, I find it to be pleasant overall, with a mid-range that's perhaps a little odd, but in terms of tonal accuracy, it is still relatively okay in my opinion. I like it.
You like it, and honestly, I don't think people should expect too much for something that's under $100. And why don't we just go on to the last of our under 100 lists, a re-entry from 10 Audio T4, the update. Well, you have the T2, the T2 Plus, and then we have T3, and then now the most current 10 Audio offering, the T4. Again, going to our Chi-Fi expert here, Anthony, that you actually have written a review about the T4. Is it an update over the T2? Is it worth that extra money, the extra $20, $30 over?
I think it is. So the main difference is the T4 has a single dynamic driver as opposed to dual dynamic of the T2, and then it has a kind of a fancier looking shell, which is more. I guess they were trying to go for the aesthetic of a turbine blade engine of an airplane. So that was what their marketing hype was around. So I found it to be even though it has one less driver, I thought it sounded a little bit more detailed. The response was a little bit faster, and just overall, across the board, it sounded a little bit better. I guess if you look at like a graph, one of the things that is slightly noticeable, some people noticed it, some people didn't, is that it had a little bit more warmth to it. So there's a little bit more of a boosted bass response compared to the original T2, which I think helped balance the sound signature a little bit better than the original T2, which some people may have thought it was too lean and too thin.
Okay. Corn, anything to add on the T4? I mean, there's really it's a pretty natural progression, from the 2 to the 4, and
The T4 for me is a little bit lean sounding. I want more bass out of it. Perhaps a little more lower mid range, but I would like more bass, more important. It does remind me a little bit of the Tajim Oxygen in terms of the total balance, where it leans towards some brightness. On a technical level, it is decent. Like it is better, a little bit better than average. Yeah, so I think it feels to me like it is meant to be like a GR07 kind of a step up from that, perhaps.
Okay. Ken?
Yeah.
Anything about the T4?
Yeah, so like I mentioned just now, the T2 is not my thing because sub bass is pretty much non-existent. So, for T4, yeah, pretty much got my passing mark because hey, sub bass is there. Yes, it's an improvement over T2 as a whole and in all the other aspects as well. Though it's not a lot of improvement, but pretty much every step is an improvement. And yeah, I do agree with Con. It's a budget oxygen. There's some similarities there, and again at its price, there you go.
All right, so that would be the end of our list. So out of everything on that under 100 list, which one would you have, Anthony?
For me, I would probably pick. That's a tough one. I think I like the Form 1.1 probably the best overall. I listened to that one probably the most and enjoyed it the most while I was reviewing it. I do want to mention really quickly that there was a Form 1.4 that I talked about quickly before that came out that actually did fix some of the treble sibilance issues, but it cost I think 3 times more money, and it's not necessarily worth that much for a small improvement that you can fix by EQ.
3 times? Whoa, that's a lot.
All right, Ken.
Close to twice.
What's your pick? I know which one you're picking.
What? Well, you guess. What am I? What?
755.
Yeah, I said that's the original. I do like it, and yeah, if I'm going for some cheap beta, I just want a bass to drown out the surrounding. So yeah, 755 will be it. But if I do want a little different,
no, you only get to pick one. Come on.
Oh, okay.
All right, Corn, what's your pick?
Am I allowed to use EQ? Because EQ.
Well, whatever you want, man. It's under $100. You do whatever you want to.
All right. Okay. Assuming I use EQ, I'll just get a T4 and add a bass shelf on it.
There you go. You buy a T2, you have to EQ it. As for me, I got my 755 for free, so I can't complain. I don't think I'll ever buy anything under $100. I haven't bought anything for that for a very long time. Why don't we move on to the next price bracket, which is $100 to $500, and we start the price bracket with Corn's favorite edemotic corner, starting with the ER2 series. Why don't you start, Corn? You are a lover of the ER2 series.
Yeah, sure. I remember back then, I was one of perhaps the early few adopters for the ER2. I started a kind of a hype train over at Headphone headquarters, and everyone started buying the ER2s. Of the ER2, my pick would be the ER2 XR. because it is very extended in the it's very extended in the sub bass, but it can be a bit too sub bassy at times. As well as its treble being a little bit rolled off at the top end, perhaps not rolled off, sorry, perhaps more of the mid treble lacking presence, like around the 6 to 10K area perhaps. Other than that, I think it's tuned very superbly. It is very inoffensive. It just sounds great on the go.
Yeah, and the ER2 series is very different from the ER3 and ER4 because it's from a small dynamic driver, right?
Yep.
And that would be actually would that be your pick? Like just you would pick ER2 over the ER3 and 4?
Specifically the ER2XR over the ER3 and 4, where I find the ER3 and 4 is lacking a bit of sub bass.
Okay. And Anthony recently wrote an article comparing the XR series on all the Ecomotic like 2, 3, and 4. What's your thought on the on that series?
Yeah, I actually wrote a review on the ER2 SE and ER2 XR about a year ago as well. The ER2 XR is probably the most natural sounding of the Ecomotic series, mostly because it has the dynamic driver. It's got a good, nice warming sound to it. And I think when I wrote the original review of the ER2 series, I liked the XR more, but looking back, I actually may prefer the SE a little bit more because I do find the bass shelf of the XR to be a little bit more than what I like, and sometimes that can bleed into the mid-range just a little bit more than I'd like. So either one, though, I mean, for $129 US, they're hard to beat for what you get.
Any comments on the 3 and 4 series on the Ecomotics? Or
I think you're jumping ahead a little bit, but the 3 and 4 are also real good. I actually own the ER3 XR right now, and I use that every once in a while. They have more.
I think we're talking about this like just the entire series as one.
All right. Yeah. The 3 itself, the 3 and 4 are single BA, and over the 2 they have more, a little bit better detail resolution, a lot faster sound, and so I think people who like listening to more detail and hearing every little intricacy will find that the ER3 and ER4 are going to be better than ER2, while the ER2 might sound a little bit more natural and more laid back and kind of has that nice DD presence to it.
Now, going to Ken, I know you are a bass lover, so I'm going to assume that you like the XR better, and I think you're going to like, if I never talked to you about this, but I'm going to guess you like the ER2 XR better. But going against your your ideology of sub-bass loving, why would somebody take the ER3 and 4 over the 2?
Okay, okay, so like, well, I like the ER2 XR. The SE will be, too no bass for me. The ER3 and 4, yes, it does have better technicalities. It is leaner from the BA, but especially the 4 XR, which you do get some bass from the BA bass. But yeah, you do get better imaging, technicality, separation, and all this, which the DD wouldn't deliver that level of technicalities. But in turn, you get the DD bass and a slightly more natural tone, like what Ann said, and timbre for those who care about it. And yeah, so the deal is, you want technicalities, or do you want to just get a more natural sound?
And I think Anthony wants to and obviously Anthony has the ER3, right? Do you have the ER3, Anthony?
I have the ER3 XR.
Yeah, you have the XR, and what makes you, and that's honestly not that much more expensive than the 2 XR, which is only $20 more expensive. So again, is the detail and resolution why you picked the 3 XR over the 2 XR? Yeah,
that's the main reason. The price also fluctuates quite a bit. on all of these. So I actually got the ER3 XR for $129.
Okay.
So it was actually the same price as the ER2. I think the ER3. So if you listen, I've listened to all of these now. The ER2, 3, 4, and both the normal and extended versions. And I think the ER3 XR is right in the middle between the ER2 and ER4 series in terms of its sound signature, and that's kind of why I liked it. The ER2 just was a little too warm for me. And talking about the XRs, and the ER4 was a little too shouty and maybe a little too bright for me, kind of in that lower treble and upper mid range. So the ER3 kind of fit right in between those two.
Am I hearing that there's really no reason to buy the 4 now, the ER4, because like nobody really talks, and it being like twice as the price compared to the 2 and 3 series, is there really no reason to buy the 4 now?
The 4 gives you, I think if people like, it'll give you probably the most clarity and presence, because it has more treble extension, or at least the treble is lifted a little bit higher than the ER3. The ER3 is actually probably the darkest of the whole series, because it doesn't have as much treble gain as the other two. So for most detail resolution, at least maybe perceived treble, perceived detail resolution, I think the ER4 is going to be the one to get.
Okay, and 3 kind of just sits in between the two, and you kind of want the best of both worlds, or the worst, depends on how much you like DD bass or whatever. Core, do you have anything to add on the Automotive series?
I used to have an ER4 SR.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, going back to like which one, like if you gave me a choice of 2, 3, or 4, I would still get a 2 over the 3 and 4, because the 2 just has a better total balance in my opinion. So yeah.
Would you get the 2S SE instead of the XR?
Oh wow, that's a good question. I think I'll go for ER4 XR over the ER2 SE.
Why?
Oh no, like just ER2. Would you take the XR or the SE?
ER2 or the XR?
Oh, okay. So you like the
Yeah.
bass.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I think now we need to move on to the ear dildo. From the ear dildo talk, we can maybe a newcomer to the game. Well, I say new, but not really. With Moondrop and their very Harman-like tuning offerings with the Moondrop Starfield /KXXS. I personally love the KXXS. I have not heard of it. I love it because of the waifu. But aside from the waifu, what do you love about it, Anthony?
Yeah, I actually haven't heard the Starfield, so my only impression of Moondrop is the KXXS and the now discontinued Canos Pro. They, at least in the KXXS, I liked its balanced sound signature. They try to follow kind of the Harman target with a little bit more warmth, so you have a little bit more lower mids than you would on a normal Harman target, which some people prefer that, because some people find that it's a little thin if you don't have a little bit extra warmth there. The KXXS, so it has a really good fit for me. It has a small shell. It looks really nice. Kind of looks like jewelry in some ways, so it could be bad or good depending what you like. And so it fits me really well. It sounds pleasant. There's nothing tonally wrong with it. It does lack a little bit of technicalities, but that's kind of expected for this type of price range. And there's nothing really to complain about besides I guess one little thing about the KXXS that I didn't like was they increased the treble just a little bit, where it can become a little harsh or maybe a little sibilant at times for me. I preferred the discontinued Canos Pro a little bit more, but the changes are very subtle. And I believe the Starfield, and again I haven't listened to it, the Starfield is kind of the in-betweener between the Canos Pro and KXXS, and it takes kind of the best parts of both of them and combine it into a newer lower priced IEM.
Right, and I think for around $100, and without being able to demo, I think the Harman or Moondrop and their Moondrop's version of the Harman target on the KXSS or Starfield or Canaz Pro, I feel like if somebody wants if somebody asks like, oh, I have $100 and I don't know what I like, I think a very good starting point would just be the $100 KX. The Starfield. And going into like the Harman target and whatever, I know that Corn. Again, too shouty for you, Corn? Yeah.
Surprisingly, I'm alright somehow.
Oh, okay.
I
I'm
don't know why.
surprised.
Yeah.
Is
I
it
like
because of the
KXS.
waifu?
I don't like waifus. I prefer JoJo's.
Oh,
Yeah.
disgusting.
The KXSS sounds alright to me. I like the balance. I don't find it too trebly for me as well, compared to Anthony. But for the Starfield, it does sound a little veiled to me at times. Perhaps
Okay.
this person doesn't have enough treble. I don't know, or it has too much warmth. I'm not exactly sure, but the Starfield does sound a little veiled next to the KXSS. Next to the KXXS for me, so I'll prefer the. I'll just go for the KXSS if I was given a choice.
Okay. What about you, Ken? Any thoughts on the single DD Harman? I know which one you like better, which is coming up on the list.
Yeah, okay, just these two. So of course the KXSS came out first, and then of course it came out after Canaz Pro. I heard Canaz Pro, I heard KXSS, and then Starfield. So well, and it's pretty much right that he was guessing Starfield is pretty much in between in the tone tuning wise is pretty much right. But the KXSS, yes, as what Con said, is definitely better technicalities. But I got a feeling it's not just based on the treble more on the KXSS. It's also probably the manufacturing process for lower costs, the cheaper DD. But at this price, 80% more is a good, almost 80% more for the KXSS for the budget folks, and they want something that's decent, like what you say, $100. I wanna start off. Starfield is a good start. It's pleasant.
Yeah, and I think maybe going back and from going back to Corn from a recommendation standpoint, the Starfield and the ER2 XR series are around that low 100 price. So not to your personal preference. I know you probably prefer the ER2 XR more, but for somebody who likes a general sound signature, would you recommend the Starfield over the ER2 XR, Corn?
Oh wow, this is a difficult question. I will still recommend the ER2 over the Starfield.
No, none of your personal bias shit. Come on.
Then probably the Starfield because the feed isn't as jarring as the ER2.
Right. And is any other reason that you might take the Starfield over the ER2 XR, or you might take the XR over the Starfield?
Personal reasons aside, it's just the sound quality on the ER2, in my opinion, is just a bit better.
Oh,
compared
okay.
to Starfield. Yeah.
Oh, good. Anything to compare, Anthony, on the two, the low 100 range IEMs?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with Corn that the ER2 is probably a little bit better technical wise and whatnot, but some people don't like jamming a thin tube into your ear as far as back as you can, and there's a definitely comfort wise difference between the Etymotic and the Moondrop. Like I mentioned before, all the Moondrop, I guess the Canaz Pro and the KXXS, I actually could sleep in those, so they were that comfortable for me. So comfort sometimes takes priority over sound quality.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think I can understand that people don't want to, shove an Etymotic all the way inside their ears. And it definitely depends on, how used to it you are. It does get you do have some kind of physical fatigue, after leaving Etymotics in your ears for a little bit too long, which you really shouldn't. Why don't we move on to something I don't want to talk about, the Chi-Fi Mid-Fi hybrid game, which is Ken's entry to this pile of shit, the Eco OH1 and the Eco OH10. What do you say to those? This Chi-Fi Mid-Fi hybrid?
All right. So for OH1, like, so just now we talked about the ER2XR and the Starfield. So for those folks well, we all pretty much agreed that the Starfield had a little bit poor technicalities that as compared to KXSS and as well as ER2 or XR. But hey, if you want a little bit more bass, more technicalities / more treble, the OH1 at around the same price range will fit the bill.
So you're saying it's just a different like version, like maybe good technicality for the price, but just different tuning compared to the XR, right?
I wouldn't say it's more technical, definitely, but it has a few things that people may enjoy more, like because it's of the treble lift. So I find that the imaging is quite okay, and yeah, if you don't want the animatics fit, you want more sub bass, and you still want a bit more treble, there you go. It's like $10 more.
Yeah, cool. Corn, anything to add on the Chi-Fi hybrid here?
The OH10 is a bit of a love-hate relationship for me, where I like the amount of treble extension it has, but at the same time, to me, the treble and the bass is like vying for extension. It's like vying for attention, and it can sound a bit too try hard, too forced in some sense. And yeah, about the OH1, I don't know whether I'll go for that over the 10, because the 10 to me is just a straight improvement.
And I think that they are just a shitty version of the Hyla CE5. And again, not to say that that's a bad thing, because the CE5 is a $900 when it was still on the market. But I am a strong, preacher of a Chi-Fi mid-Fi hybrid. You pick one, not all three. Okay, Ken?
All right.
I'm very again. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so okay, just now we're talking about just the OH1, right? So for OH10, so like the same price point, $189, KXSS. So the reason why OH10 is in this list is because if we're gonna match KXSS at 189, I would rather take the OH10. Because I get the treble extension, I get the sub bass. It's the same price.
You know what?
And probably just as good technicalities, if not better. Yeah.
Doesn't Eco have their own waifu as well?
I'm not sure. I tested this.
I think so.
Oh.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, they do.
But it's not as good as Moondrop's waifus.
Yeah, see, that's why I think the KXS wins out right there, just because it has a better waifu.
Oh no.
There you go. You lost. But let's move on from that. That's had nothing to do with performance, but waifu performance. I think for the recommendation, we come from probably the best single DD Harmon tuning IEM, what also arguably the best looking waifu, the Taichijin Oxygen. So I personally love this IEM because more so than less than performance reasons, because the owner of Taichijin actually is from the same hometown as me, so I think he scores some hometown bro points there. He also the Taichijin Oxygen also have their own waifu, which is at a higher tier. No offense to Moondrop, at a higher tier, a better design waifu, and it's also, I think, in my opinion, a better performer over the KXSS. And Ken actually loves the Oxygen as well, isn't that right?
Yeah. So yeah, I do like it. So like for this price tier, under $500, single DD, and you want Harmon, and like comparing all the Harmon like with bass boost, single DD, the Oxygen is the best.
Just because in terms of like technical performance, right?
Yes, technical performance, the bass texture, yeah, imaging, separation, extension, every, yeah.
But like and even if you're comparing it to the most expensive offering from Moondrop, which is the KXSS, do you think it's worth an extra $80? Maybe don't think about it as $80. Do you think it's worth that extra 1/3 of the cost, or maybe like 1/4, 1/3 of the cost over KXSS? And do you really think it's worth like twice the cost over the Starfield?
Okay, for me to start with KXSS, I would rather take OH10. So I will take Oxygen anytime over KXSS. But
Okay.
over Starfield is a different story because budget constraint. If someone has the budget of Starfield, and well, it's gonna be hard to push for Oxygen, so I'm not gonna push that person hard to go for Oxygen. Starfield is a pretty good budget buy.
Okay, and is it like kind of a natural progression? Like if you want if you like Harmon, let's say you want to get Starfield, and then you want something better. Is Oxygen? I feel like Oxygen would be like the natural upgrade into onto Starfield, right? Like if you want something better than Starfield, you would just buy the Oxygen, right?
Right. If you're looking at single DD, Harmon with base boost and an upgrade from Starfield, Oxygen is it.
All right, Corn. Anything about that? Best Harmon DD?
For me, it's very thin sounding. I don't know why. Maybe it's the bad fit. I don't know. Like the shell is completely trash at like having an ergonomic fit on my ear, so I don't get much bass out of it. But at the same time, there is still a seal, so it's very weird for me. And this Oxygen isn't really my thing at all, really.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? You're just a waifu hater, but if you ask me, and I'm always right. Best Harmon D single DD, best most well-designed waifu. Everybody should just get the Taijujin Oxygen instead of the Moondrop offerings. Has nothing to do with sound, just top tier waifu. That's all. Why don't we move on from the waifus? Another IEM that Ken used to have or still have, I don't know.
I still have it.
Sony. Oh, you still have it? The Sony MDR EX800 series. Why don't you start us off with that?
Okay, so I think this is a great hype on the EX1000, but it's a little sharp. Although yes, it's more technical, etc. on that. But yeah, it was a little sharp for me, and I thought that EX800 is a good balance. It's a little bit more bass, a little bit more warmth, and less sharp, less teen. And well, the biggest drawback is the lack of isolation, but the bass texture from the 16mm DD is awesome. And of course, the deep fit is a must for this, and it doesn't fit everyone. But if you can fit and you're not looking for isolation, you're using it in a different environment, this is great.
Right, and I actually have the first time I actually heard the EX800 was actually from Korn, and at that time he has the 800 series, and I have the EX1K, and we compare, and I do kind of like the EX800, but for me it does lack a little bit of technicality. You like Korn, like obviously you like the 800 more, so is there anything like you want to say about the 800?
I used to like the 800 more, but nowadays, if you can find an EX1K in condition, I'll just get the EX1K over it. Honestly, the problem with EX1K is that a lot of units out there are have their filters removed, so they are like even extra, so they're like extra bright. But if you have an EX1K with its filters still intact, it does sound like a straight up like a better EX800. Like it's still the same amount of warmth, but it has better clarity, better imaging.
Okay, so just buy a good used EX1K then. I guess there's not much to say about that. Ken, do you have anything else to add on the 800 series?
All right, so well, like I mentioned earlier, it's just like if you like more treble and clarity, sure, by all means take the EX1000. But if the sharpness, the treble pick on the EX1K is too much and want a little bit more bass, EX800.
All right. Going back into my Tri-Fi Mid-Fi hybrid, probably the only person to have heard the Moondrop Blessing 2, Anthony, you love this IEM, and you love it so much that you don't want to give it to me so I can shit on it. Why don't you start that? And you bought it, right? You bought it with your own money. That's how and you love it that much.
Well, I won't say I love it, but so the Blessing 2 is the newest, I think, Moondrop hybrid. Well, maybe not the newest anymore, but the newest, I guess, mid-fi Moondrop hybrid. It's so I made a preference curve about a year and a half ago, and surprisingly, when I got the Blessing 2, I measured it, and it actually pretty much hit my preference target almost to a T. So that was positive. And then I listened to it, and it sounds pretty good. So it's got a small bass shelf, I think about 4 to 5 dB bass shelf, and then it has a Pina gain that's slightly less than a Harman Target. So it has some presence there, but not too much where it becomes fatiguing or harsh. And it's got pretty decent treble extension. Doesn't go all the way out to 20 or anything, but it's decent. My biggest issue with it is that the shell is pretty large, and it's got kind of a weird triangular fit to it, which isn't the worst part. The worst part for me is the actual bore. The nozzle is 6.5 millimeters, which for my little tiny ear canal on my right ear, it can be pretty painful. And I went through, I don't know, I want to say like 40 or 50 different ear tips to try to find the right fit. And I still can only wear this IEM for maybe an hour at a time without having some sort of pain or having to readjust it to make sure it doesn't cause any future pain. But otherwise, I think it sounds really good for its price range. I like it for a lot of jazz music I'm listening to now, and yeah, I think it's a pretty good all-arounder. Some people may find the bass a little limp and a little maybe too fast and not enough weight to it. But for me, that's kind of what I like. So it works well for my taste.
Yeah. Oh, you love it so much, but it doesn't love you. How unfortunate, right? And and unfortunately, you are probably the only person. You already, well, not probably. You are the only person out of the four of us have heard it. So I don't think any of us have anything to say about it. And you knew my thoughts on the hi-fi, the tri-fi, mid-fi nonsense. But so enough with the boring Moondrop Blessing 2 talk. Probably the best IEM out in that category. Surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, once again, recently Sony have just reduced the price on their entire IER lineup. The M7 is now $499 US. At that price range, I do not think, in terms of technicality, or whatever you want to put it, I think at the under 500 category, this is the IEM to get. As much as I like to hate on the M7, M9, with this price reduction, I feel like this is a no-brainer budget buy here with the Sony, goddamn it, IER M7. Korn, M7, best IEM under $500, yes or no?
Yes, I guess. Compared to the M9, it is an M9 without that tweeter, as well as a little bit different crossover. So it does sound a little, I guess, a little less low resolution compared to the M9, but it is still, it is in its own price range. It is still quite a beast. It sounds warm, it sounds pleasing, and I just think it's a very safe tuning that I feel that very little will hate.
Right. Ken, you have anything to add on the best budget mid-fi Sony?
It's a baby M9. It's a warmer.
It is
warmer version of the M9 without one extra tweeter driver, less treble extension. So the whole perceived sound signature is warmer. No, it is warmer, right? And well, it's the best technicalities for this price. And yes, it's a baby M9.
Yeah, and I think like it's kind of hard to get. It's a general all-rounder. Again, like this is topping the chart on the 500 category because it's right $1 cheaper than $500. $499 for M7, and I think we have a lot more cheaper options. But I think maybe it's just me, but maybe if you have like $300-400 to spend, it might be fair. If you want to spend $100, fine, don't get the M7. But if you want to like have like $350 or $400 to spend, I think it's fair for me to ask, hey, this is a very good all-rounder, and it like this can just be. I think okay, maybe not me, but I think a lot of people can be happy with just having the M7 as their only IEM, and it will do most genre very well, and I think, and if you want to go a more expensive option, there is a big brother to that, and it won't be that will be later in the podcast. But I think for under $500, I think this is the IEM to get. Like nothing else. I don't think anything else comes close. Anybody else? No? Okay. Well, why don't we move on to the Anthony True Wireless Corner, the lover of True Wireless and hater of technicalities. Anthony, why don't you take it away? Anthony, no?
Yeah, hi. True Wireless. So yeah, I had when we were making this list originally, there was a under 100 and then 100 to 500 category, and I think I was the only one who started putting True Wireless things in there. And the reason behind that was not necessarily that they're the best sounding IEMs, but they're the most versatile. And for the price, I think, and for what a lot of people prefer is on the go use and ease of use and whatnot. So I started putting a list of really just 3 recommendations for True Wireless. One of them actually I've not heard yet, and that was more of Ken's recommendation. But the first one is the Samsung Galaxy Buds, and those are I think around 100 to, well, I think the original one is about $109 now, regular price, but you can easily find it for between $60 and $110 on sale or used. And then there's also the Galaxy Buds Plus, which just came out, and those are $149. And for me, that's my pick overall. It's my favorite True Wireless at this time. And they follow the Harman target really well. I'm not a huge fan of Harman target, but it really works for most people. And I think even if I don't like it as much as my own preference curve, I still can enjoy it. And so I found that the whole package, the fit of it, the battery life of it, and also the accompanying Galaxy app just makes the whole package really, really nice. The app itself has a bunch of different presets that you can kind of tweak to different sound signatures. So with the original Galaxy Buds, you actually can, if you like etymodic sound, you just go to the treble, I think the treble boost setting, and it'll make it into a DF type tuning. And if you like it to be a V shape, you just switch it to dynamic. And if you like Moondrop sound signature, you can change it to soft, or and so on. So you can quickly change your tonality to kind of what your favorite IEM is pretty quickly on the fly.
Anything on the Sony?
Yeah. So the second one on the list is the Sony WF-1000X M3. The main reason I put that one on the list is because it has really, really good active noise canceling. I actually don't really like the fit of it very much because, like I mentioned before many times, I have trouble putting some types of IEMs into my right ear, and this is one of them where it's a constant struggle. And also because it's active noise canceling, they need to put the microphone further out, and it has all the electronics built into it, so it actually sticks out of your ear. And so it does become kind of fatiguing to wear, but I used it on several trips last fall, and the noise canceling worked really, really well on airplanes. And it also has a really nice warm sound signature that I think a lot of people will enjoy.
All right, and on to the Apple AirPod Pro, and that's Ken's entry into the wireless thing. And it is probably the most expensive one out of the 3. Why do you love so much about it, being an Apple lover, Ken?
Okay, so I heard all of this wireless except the Plus because it was new, and because of this current situation, I didn't get to try it. So for the Buds, it was a little too shouty for me. And the rest of the EQ, they sort of try and fix it for me, but didn't really make a wow factor. It was just all right, it's just definitely a pretty good purchase at the price. For the Sony, it's awesome because the EQ settings for the app comprehensive on both iOS and Android. And yeah, you can pretty much EQ to something you like, but definitely you need some knowledge on that. So out of the box, it could be a little sharp at the travel region. For some people, could be a bit sibilant. And then it comes to the AirPods Pro. That is the best fitting for me. Like I usually have a lot of trouble fitting the true wireless, and well, the AirPods Pro just works. So that is fit. Because let's go to sound. So this is the largest DD in there. So for me, it's the best bass, and the integration with iOS is fabulous. I don't use iPhone, but I use iPad Pros, and yeah, the integration is great. Pairing and the transparent mode, the noise cancelling, but the sound is the deal. No EQ, nothing, just by default. Out of the box, it works. Nice bass.
Yeah. And I think it has like, you know, when it comes to the true wireless IEMs, which I don't really care about. It does have to, like, you know, again, this is like more of a price of performance list, so I think we don't really factor too much into ease of use. I don't think I can deny the fact that, you know, maybe not having wires, some people might prefer not having wires when they're, you know, out and about and doing whatever they want. But I do have a question for Anthony. How if there's no wires, how do I use my 4.4 millimeter jack?
Your imagination.
I don't think my imagination is that good for my 4.4 millimeter jacks, and I'm talking about my earphones. Core, do you have anything to say about that? Not the joke, but just the true wireless garbage. I'm not sorry.
Yeah, I used to work in an audio store and or selling true wireless stuff, but I've never really gotten into it because I just find the sound to be just alright, I guess. Galaxy Buds a little bit too thin for me, a little bit too bright. I haven't tried the Buds Plus yet. The WF 100 SM3, they do sound a little generic in some sense. I'll EQ down the warmth, and yeah, I mean, I would just get the WF 100 SM3 if I'm looking for a nice kind of true wireless set, and then apply a EQ to reduce the warmth.
You know what? I'll just get the 755 with a wire, and I'll deal with me having a wire for about $200 less than anything that's out there. But you know, again, that would be the end of the category from 100 to 500. Now let's do that little picking game, and obviously there's a lot more choice here. And I think the three of us would have the same answer under $500. What would your IEM be, Anthony?
Well, I haven't listened to the M7 yet, so
yeah, obviously you don't get to pick.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I have to if I could choose two of them.
Not one.
Yeah, I can't choose one. That's hard.
Fine, two.
Okay,
just
good.
Pick your Blessing 2, and then yours.
Yeah, so the Blessing 2, to be honest, the Blessing 2 probably isn't my favorite of the under 500. It's not even listed here. It's probably the Dunu DK3001 Pro, and I actually took that off because I think the Blessing 2 is a better value. Because the DK3001 Pro costs almost 50% more.
Show things that's out of the list.
Sorry.
That's not allowed.
But so of the list, the one I use the most is actually the Galaxy Buds. So
okay.
Yep.
Galaxy Buds. There you go. Corn M7, yes or no?
Like I would agree that M7 is the best among the under 500 category.
Alright, that's all I need to hear. No, there's no.
I'll still get an ER2. ER2 XR, baby.
Oh my god. Ken, M7, yes.
All right, for wired, definitely M7.
No. There's no but here. Come on, we're not doing but 3 times.
No, because there's a different category, right? Like wireless.
No, same category. I don't care. Why you just have to live with the wire. $500 to live with the wire. Come on, man.
Okay, I'll take M7.
There you go. Good. Short and sweet. You see, obviously, there's really no... We all agree here that an M7 is the obvious choice, right? For the under 500 range. So if you want to something that's around that range, just get the M7 and nothing else. And I think that's what you should get out of this part 1 of the podcast. If you want a budget under 100 IEM, you should just get the 755. And if you want something between 100 and 500, just get the M7. You know, Sony dominates the price category.
I think I have to add this
No.
for the
Okay,
for
fine.
okay,
Yes.
because like
Well, yeah.
if you're using Android, and well, quite a lot of people are using Android, and even for iOS, the Sony has the app. So the Sony is definitely a good all rounder with multiple devices. If you have both Androids and iOS and PC or whatever or Mac, you know, the Sony will work, and because the profile is the EQ profile is safe in the IEM, so you don't have to worry. You know, when
Are you talking about the Sony wireless?
Yes, the Sony wireless. So
we don't care about wireless. No, this is not.
It is great for everyone. Whereas the Apple, well, if you have a Mac, have any Apple device, there you go.
No. This is not the true wireless podcast. Just get the M7. All right, cut this.
Yeah.
This is part one. We're doing part two later.